To people who are listening to this show, this sometimes has adult language in it. So if you are scared of adult language, don't listen to this. And if you have kids who are scared of adult language, what are you going to do? They're going to grow up someday. This is Reef Beef. My name is Rich.
And my name is Ben.
And today on Reef Beef, we are going to talk about lasers. We're going to talk about MACNA. We're going to do a Ask Reef Beef. And we're going to talk about why reefers should understand climate change. Sponsored by saltwateraquarium.com. How are you doing this week, Benjamin?
I'm doing good.
How
It's
good?
a long day today.
Long day? What were you doing on this long day?
I went and cleaned an aquarium an hour away, and then I drove another hour away from that to clean that aquarium and install some lights on a fish-only system.
Cha-ching!
Long day. But I
Fish
got
only.
paid.
Fish only. Cha-ching!
It
Am
was.
I right?
Yeah, fish only. How'd you know that? Just a
Because
lucky
you have to
guess?
do less work, but you can charge them the same amount of money.
Yeah, that's true.
We didn't
Yeah,
tell
but they poop big. They make big messes.
We didn't tell that shit to Hunter, did we?
No,
Oh yeah. Oh, fucking set up
I couldn't tell him
fucking-
all my secrets.
set up a goldfish tank.
I didn't want him to be that successful.
What's going on here? I have a laser update.
Oh,
A laser update. Remember I said I bought a new laser?
but don't tell me you got the 15-watt one.
Remember this is the laser I had before. Right? Did you see that?
6 watts.
This is the one I bought. This one's got a sticker on it there.
That says you can die.
I don't think you can see it, but it's there. It says 15 watts. And I was like, great. I wonder, let's check the other one. Yeah. 15 watts.
Wait, what?
They're both marked as 15 watts.
But are they both truly 15 watts?
Now we're talking about, like, we're comparing test kits. Who the fuck knows, right? I assume they're both 15 watts, and they sent me a 15 watt by accident the first time when it was supposed to be a 6 watt.
Maybe I should buy that one from you.
Maybe you should. I still think it's awesome. I want a 30 watt one.
You haven't cracked. Dude, you are going. What was that movie with Val Kilmer in it where they make popcorn in the house? And
Real genius.
Real genius. I love that movie. But you're going to start getting to that level. You're going to blow up your house with popcorn.
Who talks like that? Who talks like that?
My friends.
Kent, this is Jesus, Kent. Now I'm just quoting Real Genius.
Oh, okay. It's
How does
been
it feel to be frozen? Ice is nice!
I need to go back and watch that again.
Fuck, I love that movie. It's before Val Kilmer was
Super.
the bad kind of crazy.
Dude, that was before Top Secret, right?
Yes, it was.
Top Secret was big in my life.
That was good. And the aquariums on there were amazing.
Gasoline.
So yeah, I'm still liking the laser. I got to do some more documenting.
So wait, slightly confused now. So you already had a 15 watt, but you thought it was a 6 watt?
I did.
Okay.
Because that's what I ordered.
Because I almost felt like I was going to hear from you that you stepped up to the 15 watt and you blew your tank up or something.
That would be fucking excellent. I would film that and explode everything. It would be so great.
Well, I mean, it might be sad, but you would be the first person to ever blow your aquarium up with a laser.
The laser. And I'd be free of all this crap.
Yeah. Well, you'd be free of the whole hobby.
Just blow everything up.
Yeah. So, Richard, how are your tank? Nah, I blew him up with a laser.
I blew them up. So I got to go back and see if they have a bigger laser.
Dude, don't do it.
But you know, I think it's probably going to end up that the 15 watts great for vermitids, big and little, and I think just for Aptasia and Mahanos, you just have to like hit them every day. But hitting them with a laser is pretty fun. So you know, zap them. Like I know I've killed mushrooms with the old laser with this one. And I just
mostly hitting in their oral disc.
Yeah,
area?
I hit them right in the mouth. and I hit one like 4 or 5 times, and the other 4 or 5 times, and one is gone completely, and one is back. So
do they make it to where like the next day you'd go in and pull out some, organic matter, or does it
no,
just
because it doesn't fry them to kill them completely. It's not powerful enough to just wipe them out. It just damages them, and so they ball up, all the anemones and stuff, and they ball up, and then as they recover, it can take them a few weeks or a month to recover. The mushrooms, the Aptasia and the Mahanos recover in a day or two, or get some feeding tentacles out in a day or two. So, but if you just have it set up, and the duty cycle is 20 minutes. They
20
want
minutes?
They want a 5-minute cooldown for every 20 minutes.
But does the unit let you know that?
No.
Or, no, you told me before it just starts being
it just seems like it feels weaker.
Yeah.
Weaker. Like
it
my
seems like
bony arm.
Feels weaker.
So that's the laser update. I don't think there's any other aquarium update. Not much has been going on here, except I'm thinking of setting up another system, which...
What?
I've got everything that I put together for that one console tank that only lasted a few months, the one that broke.
Well, broke. Yeah.
And I'm kind of thinking I should set that up for something. I should grow algae in it, or I should farm live rock in it, or, I should do
fragmentations.
Something. I just don't want to. Yeah, fish vacations. Is that what you said?
No, that sounds cool, but fragmentation. But a fish vacation. Hey guys, we're going in here.
Where were you? I was in this. It was great for a week. No one bugged me.
Yeah, it was just clean, just a sparse ecosystem. It was great. Yeah.
So MACNA was really good, right?
I can't believe you did that thing with the stuff, man.
The thing with the stuff was so awesome.
It was crazy, dude.
We haven't gone to MACNA yet. We're recording this before we go to MACNA, so we can go to have a show to put on right after MACNA. So
you.
But we are getting ready for MACNA. I know I just emailed Ben his flight arrangements because they were sent to me by accident. So
and I've been doing push-ups.
I've been waxing.
Yeah.
And
just half of your body.
Patterns, different patterns in different spots.
Yeah. Geometric,
Geometrics.
Hymenoptera.
Hymenoptera. We should go on a Reef Beef trip to Hymenoptera.
Let's do it.
That would be so fucking excellent.
Unlock evil spirits.
I know. And according to Aquaman and Hymenoptera, there could be water because that's what happened in the movie Aquaman.
Yeah.
But I don't think they were in Hymenoptera. They were somewhere else. That was not a good movie.
They were in Hollywood.
It's not a good movie. And while Ben just gets to do push-ups for MACNA, I have to put together my talk on algae, how to deal with algae. And if you've been a listener to the show, you know what I'm going to say. Although this is so awesome, Ben. I went on another forum like I do every once in a while, and I said, hey, does anybody here have any compelling documentation for an algae, a tank with an algae problem, having that algae problem be cleared up by only tweaking nutrient levels in the water column?
But you probably get like a deluge of, and man, pardon me for sounding like an asshole, but I'm just saying, when you post a question like, oh yeah, blah, 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 and it's none of it's exactly what you asked for.
Well, this one is pretty exciting. The response was, well, it worked for me. And then they told me something, and I said, okay, great. Just to be clear, there were no herbivores. There were no this. You didn't add anything. And they wrote back and said, well, that's not what I said. And then they wrote a big thing about how to deal with algae. And I said, oh, sorry, maybe I was unclear or you misunderstood. I was asking for something pretty specific.
Yeah.
But thanks. But I guess my point is that's what always happens when I ask that question. I have yet to find. I would love there to be some solid, compelling evidence, but there's not. And because I'm a shill, I'm also giving a talk at the Neptune breakfast Friday morning.
I will be there.
It's a product I use and I like it. So does that make me a shill, Ben?
I mean, what else is there? There's the Coral View thing, the Hydros and the GHO. But I mean,
I'm already
Neptune, love it or leave it. It's the most prevalent thing out there.
We're gonna go talk to Hydros.
Yeah,
because you have a reason for it, and I would not be objecting to trying it on something to see how it works.
I mean, competition's good. I think.
I mean, I'm not asking for free shit. I would want to go.
No.
Go. Is there something that makes sense for me to try it, or am I just trying it to try it? I don't. You can do that. You'll do that for us if it makes sense.
Yeah.
See, I'm so excited about going to the show. There's so much I'm interested in.
I want to hear Tiger Boy talk about marine algae. I can't get that out of my head.
Yeah. Why don't you have a name like Tiger Boy?
I used to be known as Leopard Boy, but it was just there was some copyright infringement, and
I used to be known as King Snake.
Yeah, King Snake. And you used to eat other snakes?
King Snake. That was my porn name. King
Red
Snake.
touch yellow, kill a fellow. Red touch black, won't hurt Jack. That's the difference between what do they call it? A scarlet king snake and a coral snake.
But what is it? It's red touch yellow, kill a fellow?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can mix those up completely and get it totally backwards.
And that's like a group of Boy Scouts. Like, how did it go again? Wait, what does poison ivy look like?
Well, what? I wipe my butt with oaks or poison oaks.
And I have a coral snake hanging from a wiener.
My wiener. Oh, King Snake, help me.
My name isn't even Jack.
You're not Jack. So yeah, I got to put together 2 talks because I'm an idiot.
Oh my God, dude, you're a glutton for punishment.
And I'm going to be introducing most of the speakers. This is going to be fun, MACNA. I'm really excited to see everyone. We might have some Reef Beef cookies from Jason Langer. Might.
Oh.
But why are we talking about this? Because we had the cookies. They were fantastic.
Happened. Yeah, the greatest.
I've got a Ask Reef Beef question from Belgium.
Whoa, dude. They make good beer.
Are you ready? Have you read this yet? Have you seen this?
I'm going in naked.
Naked! Ask Reef Beef. Hi, Rich and Ben. Well, that's nice. They didn't call us any names.
Yeah.
Can you believe that part of the success of a tank and of the hobbyist is to keep under reasonable conditions the system for at least 2 years? That's an
awkward sentence.
In general, well, they're from Belgium.
Okay.
In general, only after that, the tank starts to really thrive. I did a check recently, and people like Sanjay, Mike Paletta, Keith at Reef Bum, all of them also suffered a lot in the first few months whenever they tried to build a new tank. Thanks a lot, Pedro. Pedro from Belgium, which is fucking awesome. Because that doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah. Vote for Pedro.
What do you think, Ben? Is it reasonable? Should the system be up for 2 years before you can call it a success? And does everybody have problems? Even people like Sanjay and Palata and Reef Bum.
Hey, I'm all for letting the system. I love the idea of letting the system, run for a little bit, because that's where I think most hobbyists get in trouble, is trying to push along too fast. And then of course everything's out of whack. 2 years, that's a little silly in my opinion. I might say 3 to 4 months is what I feel, because I do this, I do it on the regular. I get, when people pay me, and their reef tank looks pretty badass at year 1.
Right.
But
I dropped a pencil.
And I'm not putting myself in that pantheon, but I'm just saying, as someone that sets up reef tanks routinely for people all the time, I'm just saying that, I go through crap all the time. I don't set up reef tanks and they're just like badass. If there were, I would be talking at more MACNAs if I knew some secret. But yeah, you go through a lot of shit 3 or 4 months. And if you know what you're doing, you can pretty much straighten it out after 4 months. Make the thing looks pretty good at 6 months, and then I can make a reef tank look pretty killer at 1 year.
I think the success of the tank and the hobbyist has to do with the hobbyist. So I would say that 2 years is a good amount of experience for a hobbyist to start to kind of know what they're doing. I was watching Charles Berthau, the bassist. He's a really good bass player, like phenomenal, and he has about 20,000 hours of bass playing. So they say you need 10,000 hours to become expert at something.
But that's that Japanese thing, the 10,000 repetitions.
No, I don't. Sure. Yeah, it's that Japanese thing. 10,000.
That's not fair. What if you have 9,999? They're like, get the fuck out of here.
So I think people think they can become experts that are really good at reefing in like 6 months, and it's like you can't really be good at anything in 6 months.
Okay, I didn't think about that. That makes the question tricky, because if you're going from I've never had a reef tank before to it looks good after 2 years, well, okay, that's feasible. But because I was like hearing it as a thing like that you've been doing this intensely for 10 plus years, and you're like, all right, go.
Right.
And it's just like,
because I know, if I were setting up a new tank, I would use aged rock, however that happened. And if I had to age the rock, then I would just put the rock in the tank with a bunch of stuff to start the cycle and to inoculate the tank with everything I could think of, and then have no lights on it or very dim light a little bit for the first month or two.
I mean, like if you're getting a custom tank made or you're waiting for something, I think the first thing you should do is get some live rock in some water, whether it's lit or not lit, whatever you want to do, just get it in water, get it going.
Right. That's something you got to learn. So, and if you don't, so yeah, I think you just need the experience. You can have problems at the beginning, but I would, it depends on what you're doing. I know I've set up tanks at Steinhardt, brand new things with seasoned live rock, and had minimal problems.
I've had tanks with growing SPS within 2 months.
Yeah, but and I want to put a flag in that. That's something that an experienced reefer knows what to do. And a new reefer may not know what to do. Maybe that's what all these algae problems are. All these pest problems are, I didn't notice it, and now it's everywhere. Mm-hmm. And once you've done it for 10,000 hours, you go, oh, I found a pest. I'll take care of it in a couple of days. And then you go and you take care of it, knowing that in a month there are going to be more because the dishes are never not done.
Yeah. Oh, the kitchen's on fire. Well, I'll go find that extinguisher here in a little bit.
Right. Do it now. But you got to spot it when it's small. So, depends on what you do to it in the first months, Pedro. If you can make it go. But I think most people, maybe this is what you're really getting at. Most people know the first months, 2 to 6 months, there's going to be stuff going on, and you've got to be aware. And
well,
then,
if you're learning at the same time, that's where
that's
the problem
harsh.
is.
Yeah. So I hope that answers your question. I think that's what you're asking.
But Pedro, my favorite beer is wit beer, and that's from Belgium.
Yeah.
So
there's just shit that happens when you set up a brand new system, and if you're aware of it, you can head most of it off and deal with it. If you're not aware of it, you can get stuck. So when is it successful? When I think that depends on the tank, but I think, a year for a tank to feel rock solid makes sense. I mean, everything's kind of settled then, and you've gone through your shit.
Well, that's tricky. Successful too. What even does successful mean? Like you're
only if your fish have lived 40 years.
Yeah. Isn't there a dude out there that was like that?
There is. It's crazy.
But
he's not as crazy as that. He just says things like it's the truth.
Yeah.
And then when you talk to him on the next side, he goes, "Oh no, I don't know." And it's like, "Oh, okay, great." I think you sound like you're making crazy statements, but I don't really disagree with a lot of what you're saying. Some of it I do, but that's whatever.
Yeah.
So thank you, Pedro. I want to point out, Ask Reef Beef is a thing we like, and the way we do it that makes it easier for us is we do it at bronze level reef keepers, the bronze level beefers, which is the lowest level. It's a $8 level that you can join at reefbeatpodcast.com/membership. And the reason we do that is because we're always begging for money, because why not? So instead of buying us a beer, you can become a member, and then we know we're not just getting random questions. We'd rather, it's kind of weird. We'd rather answer the questions of the people who are directly supporting us than random questions. And sometimes
I mean, I'll go on YouTube comments and say stuff, but like there's, we and Richard and Snowman and I, we have all these social media channels out there, but it's like, and I randomly will see a question, but I can't like pay attention to all that. It's got to sort of come to us streamlined.
Right. So, and we'd love your questions. Sometimes we find people we want to bring on or questions that we want to talk about. That's fine too. But if you want to get right to us, $8 gets you in, and you also get 10% off of all our merch. So if you want a poster like this, you can have one to hide your secret projects when you do your podcasts. You get access to buy the members only shirt. You get our eternal gratitude, and we'll answer your questions.
And honestly, $8 that's like one trip to Taco Bell. That's how I would quantify it. It's either a Reef Beef question or, a double-decker taco supreme and 2 bean burritos with unsweet iced tea.
Yo quiero Reef. There's also other levels of membership. There's a silver and a gold and a prime beef, and you can take a look at that. But we really just like the questions. So if you got them, go over there, check it out, and thank you. And thank you, Pedro. And thank you, everyone who smashes like. All right, the Yurple Tang is making news. The Yurple Tang is a cross between the purple tang and the yellow tang. I think it's from Bali Aquaculture, and Biota is selling them. And we've known they were coming for a while, but they've started hitting now for sale. And they're 10 grand each. And some people think that's crazy. What do you think, Benjamin?
I mean, crazy, of course. It's like I don't know that, and I love all those parties involved. I love Biota. I love Bali. I mean, how did they get that number? It's like an arbitrary number. Like you spin a Russian roulette thing. It's like, survey says 10 grand. But this isn't for everybody. The other thing I have to think is like, I don't think, that they're bad people and they're lying. They have 50 million of them, but there can't be very many of these things.
There's not.
So, I mean,
I don't have a problem with it at all.
No. If there's, I know because I see them online, there's people that will, believe it or not, there's people that will drop down 10 grand on a Yurple.
I think there's a shit ton of people who will do stuff like that.
I don't know about shit ton, but they're out there.
Not a metric shit ton. More like an imperial, maybe a shit court.
Yeah, a shit court.
I think.
Is that like night court, but with feces?
No, it's like a quart of ice cream, but with feces.
Like a Texas food bowl full of fecal matter.
Texas food bowl full of people who, I think we see on the forums and online a lot of people talking about things are expensive. How do we do this on a budget? How do we make this less expensive? I think we see a lot of discussion about that, and we don't see a lot of discussion about people who are like, whatever, I can afford it. Which makes sense to me. At the same time, all those other corals are so fucking expensive now, and people don't blink at that. People don't blink at a $500 coral anymore like they used to.
And can it be looked at like this? Like, that's not in my realm. I don't have $10,000 to spend on a fish, but I'm just saying for those that could and they are aware of what Bali and Biota and places like that are doing, is it almost like if that was within your heart that you're just sort of like helping them out with money for their organizations.
That's part of it, but I think it's also, the people
Exclusive.
the people who bring the exclusive thing to market get to ask however much money they want to ask for it. And they've made the determination that they can ask a real premium for this fish based on other fish like the peppermint angel or the masked angels
Personatus.
or Dr. Seuss fish or, whatever fish that is, that people love and are willing to pay for.
I like the way it looks. I posted about this on our Facebook page.
Yeah.
I like the way it looks. I guess it remains to be seen. What does it look like when it's an adult? Who knows?
How exciting, I think. And
it's nothing to get mad about, that's for sure.
And people are talking about it. So pricing it at 10K makes people talk about it, which is good. So, is it really a crazy amount of money? I don't know. I don't care. It's what they've decided that they want for it. And I think that's fine. Just like corals. Yeah. I mean, I think some of the coral stuff is dumb, but
yeah,
what the market will bear. And this is, I would imagine, if I were biota or, trying to do cultured animals, I'd be looking for any way to recoup the money that I poured into this business for 100 years while people are like, but I can get a mandarin for $5 at a bag lot sale. So
yeah. And then I ordered some more of those biota mandarin dragonettes and dropped them off. And every time I drop them off to a customer that hadn't had one before, they're like, oh my God, I'm never going to see it again. And what happens, 4 months later, it's big. And I haven't, not a single one of those dragonettes have died. So
that's awesome.
Anyway.
And if you're a collector, you're a collector. And one of the things that makes things collectible is their rarity and their price. So,
I mean, that guy that's got that killer home aquarium, Andrew
Sandler, he's going to be a guest, right? Eventually.
Yeah.
Try to work that out.
But I mean, not to throw him under the bus, but I'm just saying someone like that could put something like that. Could you imagine one of those in that tank? That'd be killer looking. I
can. I think it's a cool fish. It'll be interesting to see what it does. I mean, I've got a Balanopercula, not a Balanopercula. I don't have those anymore. I'm sorry. Rainfordia, the perch, the Rainfordia opercularis.
Oh yeah, the flathead perch.
Yeah, and that's not an inexpensive fish. And I thought long and hard about it before I got it, and I did want to support biota and Todd, who breeds them, and I love that fucking fish. I should have bought two.
Is it in your main display?
It is.
Oh yeah.
And I know its patterns now, so I see it all the time. It's great.
Yeah, I used to have I still have the client, but I had a 300-gallon. I had a Swiss guard basslet in there, and it's like, I mean, he had it for years. But he would, I'm there and we're talking about the tank and be like, oh, didn't I used to have that fish? And we'd look and oh crap, it's still there. But it's like, dude, that thing does not come out.
Well, you've seen my tank. I love that about my tank.
Yeah.
I love that.
Easy to.
Where is it? Like, the Rainfordia I put in that tank and didn't see for several months. And then was sitting at the tank watching it like this, but from the side, watching the Swales basslet. And then I saw the swales move in a way that looked weird. I was like, that's weird. And then I was like, that's not the swales. That's the goddamn Rainfordia. And then
Did you almost think that he was gone or even?
Oh, yeah. Every time I put a fish into the tank, I assume it's probably going to be gone.
Like, all
they're,
right.
They're usually not, but, I mean, I put that little biota fucking Coral Beauty in there.
Yeah.
And thought, this is not going to work. And it was out and feeding that day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And over there, I got one of the banded angels. Not banded. And so, I don't know. The cultured stuff is great. So there. So if I had 10K, if I had enough money where 10K was like $30, I couldn't see I wouldn't. Well, some people have a lot of money.
Yeah, I don't. I have
Yeah.
a lot of children instead.
We have ways of making you talk.
I suppose that is the whole reason behind the Reef Beef.
Ben, we have sponsors, and the one we like the most at the moment is saltwateraquarium.com.
We love them long time.
Saltwateraquarium.com. They're a great company. They're the right size. What I think is the right size. Yeah. They're big enough to have everything I want and be able to ship to you fast. When I order something, they ship it out the same day, and then it's here like 2 days later. That's fantastic. But they're also small enough that you could write when you order on the thing, you said, I only came here because of Reef Beef. If you don't keep supporting Reef Beef, you're dead. And they'll respond to you about Reef Beef because they're small enough to be able to do that.
But that's crazy because those are the same virtues that my wife says about me. So that's great. That's what me and saltwateraquarium.com have in common.
Yeah. So they've got all the selection you can need. They've got a great app that makes ordering easier. They've got a Facebook group that they can answer your questions. They've got a text. You can text them and they'll answer your questions and try to help you out. They got, take it, do it, say it, say it.
Three different shipping locations from which to send off your goods to you. So that's how it can happen so fast.
And they've got, you can get great cleanup crew from them. I did that order a while ago and it was really nice. Everything was labeled really well. Everything came in healthy. Kept in fishless systems, so your chances of disease go way the hell down. I think they're a good company trying to do it right, and I can't wait to talk to them at MACNA. Thank you, saltwateraquarium.com. Go check them out. I didn't get anything this week because I bought a laser instead of more F-aptation. Check it out.
We have ways of making you talk.
I suppose that is the whole reason behind the Reef Beef.
Let's talk about acclimation, Ben.
Oh boy.
I've seen some stuff about acclimation going around and you know, the idea of the drip acclimation for an hour or 2 hours idea won't die. So without telling me how or why, tell me, how do you, when you bring a fish out to a client, what do you do? And then I can talk about what do I do, and then we can talk a little bit about what people do and why maybe they shouldn't do that.
Okay, when I bring a fish to a client, I don't do a whole lot because that fish has already been at my house for about a month of me observing it. Because over the years, you know, if I get in the order, because I'll get in wholesale order and I have 8 tanks in my house and I'll put stuff away and observe it. But if I get it and then like bring it to them within 3 days, like I end up sometimes losing the fish in their tank. And then, you know, I feel weird. I don't really have a policy with that. I tell my clients, but it's like, then I feel weird for charging you. So, I mean, it's better if it dies at my house than at your house I brought it to. But when I get them in wholesale, you know, I have to do a little bit of acclimation.
What do you do?
But it has changed drastically because I think back in the days, maybe drip for 10 minutes. I mean, so bags put in the water especially if it's like crazy temperature outside.
You float the bag.
Turn off the lights. I don't want to freak them out. And then I might do like 10 minutes tops of drip acclimation and then I divvy them out so I can just observe things.
Yeah. That pretty much makes sense. What do I do with fish? If the fish has come from another store, you know, if I picked it up at Aquatic Selection or High Tide Aquatics or whatever, I take the fish and I decant it into one of these, but a taller one. It's a deli cup. And then I let it sit in there for a minute. And then I have another deli cup with tank water in it about halfway up. I pour most of the bag water out of the bag with the fish. I pour it into the other deli cup. So there's about 50-50 bag water and 50 my tank water. And then I get another deli cup with more tank water. And I, like, almost right away, don't even wait, I pour that, almost all the water out of the first deli cup that's got the fish in it. Pour the fish into the new deli cup. Take it over to the tank, of course turning all the lights off. Put the deli cup in so they can look around. And then I turn the cup sideways and let them swim out. And that's the end. Corals, the same thing. Corals, I'll just take them and put them right into the tank water.
I do the same thing.
and then dip them. Now, I think it gets weirder when you get animals that come in the mail.
Yep.
But the only thing I would do differently with animals in the mail is temperature acclimate them like you did by floating the bag. And then
I would check the salinity.
Then I check the salinity, and if it's where you know, if my tank's at 35 parts per thousand, if it's anywhere in the 30s, I pretty much just do exactly what I just did. What I just outlined.
You'll get, and I think that's really important when you either you know your store real well, or if you just walked into a new store. I mean, not only would I say, hey, what do you all keep your salinity in here? And you'll find that some stores, for whatever reason, keep their salinity lower.
Yeah.
You know, at the cost of being an asshole, like, could you check it real quick? Or like, can I see? I just want to see, because like, you know, you just get some person like, yeah, bro, we keep it at 28. And it's like, can I just see real quick? Just, you know, I want to make sure. Because it's the same thing with Rich. As long as it's in the 30s, like I wouldn't do too much. But if you start getting in the 20s, like, again, it would be nice to have an observation tank that you could also at the same time bump it up a little bit slower. Yeah. It also depends. Here's a big difference. It sort of depends. I mean, you might disagree with me on this. It sort of depends how much you spend on the fish.
I want to disagree with you, but cost of things makes a difference.
If I paid a lot of money for a fish, I'm going to probably do some extra steps.
Well, I might not be as cavalier, but I would do the same thing. You know, the most difference that I would do is I would start with the 50-50 change. I would do that immediately. You know, 50% of the tank water and 50% of the bag water with the fish in it. Right away, you know, as soon as it's temperature, I would do that because I figure whatever the salinity is, the fish is going to be able to handle that. And if there's anything goofy going on in the bag and I don't feel like testing for ammonia, I want the fish out of whatever's goofy in the bag, right?
Well,
and then I might do that halvesy thing, you know, 5 or 6 more times just to get it into 100% tank water.
You know, I was just thinking, because most of where this applies to me is wholesale orders, and that's a different beast. But then I was just thinking, like, well, what are most of our viewers doing? So what do they want to hear? And what most of our viewers are doing are buying something from a store. Most of our viewers aren't getting something from wholesale.
That's true.
So, you know, that could be a different conversation because it is a different beast.
Well, there's that. It's not necessary if you get fish or corals in a bag from somewhere and the bag is brown, the water is brown, you have to decide what to do. Or if you open it up and the water is stinky, you got to decide what to do. And it's almost the same thing though for me. You know, because if I was in a bag full of polluted air and I got to your house, I really don't want you to like drip fresh air in. I want fresh air immediately.
Well, but let me run through this.
Even with the shock, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but let me run through this. This is just old knowledge I have in my head that I think most of us, you know, long distance reefers have this basic knowledge in our head. It's possible some viewers out there, some beefers might not necessarily know this, but let's say you're in California at a wholesale facility. I'm here in Texas. I've ordered a bunch of stuff. The night prior to, you bag all this stuff, put oxygen in the bag, okay? You pack it all up. It gets to me the next morning. But so in all that time in an enclosed bag, the fish has been letting ammonia out of its gills, and ammonia is poisonous. But at the same time, it's been, you know, respiring. It's been breathing and letting off carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide lowers the pH of the water, and ammonia is more poisonous the
Toxic.
higher pH is.
Toxic.
So,
yeah.
So what you get is you get a lowering of pH, which helps with the ammonia. And would you reach a certain level, it turns into ammonium, and I believe becomes, you know, not poisonous at all. But so the problem I would have in that, I would wonder, is that fish has been in that bag in that overnight scenario. And so what I've heard is that like ammonia will attach onto their red blood cells. So if that thing you're saying you just want to get out and get into fresh air, but I've always been told like the ammonia attaches to red blood cells and makes it hard for them to and will become poisonous once you put that fish into a higher pH solution. So yeah, sure, get them out, but in that scenario, like as what I've been told, like I said, is that you're sort of could throw them in the frying pan into the fryer.
I think that's crazy. I think what happens is the ammonia becomes less of a problem at lower pH, which happens from the CO2 in the bag. And as soon as you open the bag, the pH goes up and the ammonia gets to be more toxic. So if you drip acclimate in that condition, you're actually keeping the fish in higher ammonia, worse ammonia water for longer. And that ends up burning the gills. So
there's another thing we do, and I want to get your opinion because I wonder if this does anything. It's a popular thing to use Seachem Prime. And the second you'd open a bag, you get a little bit of drops in there because the thinking is that it would lock up the ammonia. Does it really? I have no idea.
It goes back and forth on. It says it detoxifies the ammonia, but does it or doesn't it? It's
and it could in the water, but does it in the fish?
Yeah, I think most of the worry about the ammonia with the fish is burning the gills.
Okay.
I could be wrong. Beefers, school me if I'm wrong on that. That's just I wrote an article and did a bunch of research on acclimation about 10 years ago, 2011, I think, actually, and didn't come up with any of the thing Ben was just saying about attaching to the blood. I don't know how you would. Anyway,
that's like the info that gets passed and we all parrot it, and then but one day I'm like, but does it?
But does it?
Is it?
Is it? Does it really?
It sounds good.
So if the ammonia is getting worse because of you're raising the pH, I want the fish out of that water. Or if the fish or coral's all dying and there's goo in the water, get it out of the water.
It's probably going to die anyway, so I mean, give it a shot.
Yeah. So is your cure worse? Fish in the this is another thing. When you dive wild reefs, there's major salinity changes happen all the time. You see a sclerin. A sclerin is a difference in density of water, of the seawater. You can see the denser water underneath and the less dense above, and you go down a meter and it's fucking cold. And fish come up and down between that all the time, and the salinity changes as it goes by and the temperature changes. So I think that should I say one more time?
Let's say it one more time.
I think that this acclimation came from the time when
dinosaurs ruled the planet.
Yes, and the dinosaurs didn't really understand why the fish in their aquariums would die. They didn't even understand that most of the fish in their aquariums at the time were collected with cyanide. And so no matter what they did in acclimation, it wouldn't make a difference, right? So I think all of these things that we did in the 80s and 90s were to deal with problems that we couldn't do anything about anyway.
There's another facet to this, which I see some pretty smart people do, is they have these big, not even little specimen containers, but these big ones with all the slots in it. And the reason I like that, I don't really have the time to do that for my business, but let's say you got a prized wrasse and you already have other wrasse in there, but I'd want to, set that in the tank and let that guy live in there for maybe a week, just so the inhabitants see him. And they've, and then by the time you get them back in the tank, everyone's like, yeah, we've seen that guy.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you go to the store, get a fish, throw it in there, and everyone's like pounding on it, goodbye fish.
Yeah. I turn, when I get the new fish, the lights go, I feed. That's a good one to say. I feed before I float the fish. And then the lights are off for hours.
Yeah.
If I can do it at night, I'm even happier. right? Because then everyone gets to wake up in the morning and go, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
Fish
Oh,
are
wow.
stupid. Their
Yeah.
brains are like the size of, Cheerios, and they don't remember.
Cheerio, the center of a
They
Cheerio.
go, who are you? No,
Yeah.
fish are smarter than that.
Oh,
But
wait, you've been here for 10 years.
yeah, don't overthink the acclimation. Temperature is important. You get the fish in cold, but again, at the same time, if your fish comes in at 70 degrees Fahrenheit and your tank is or 65, I kind of don't want to take a long time to warm it up. I kind of want to warm it up quick.
I mean, within reason, because I've seen
Yes.
fish get shocked and die from.
We're not, yeah. I mean, we're not talking that the fish, it's not like a person
50
who's
to 80.
a person who's fallen into the frozen lake for 20 minutes and then
Yeah.
you want to bring them up, you want to keep them cool and bring them up slowly so they don't shock.
Like
That's
Captain
not-
America.
That's not what's happening most of the time. That's a rarity. If the fish comes in and it's 65, 70 degrees, I kind of want to warm them up quickly to get them out of that cold. But I want to keep everything else calm. I don't want to add more stressors. So maybe that's a good way to think of it. What stressors are you removing?
Yeah.
But the hour acclimation,
I mean, back in the day, I used to do that big time.
Yeah.
It's-
When we used to get a lot of fish in, we would start a drip into a container, a big container,
Yeah.
and let it get about this full, and then we would just start opening the bags and putting the fish into there with their water.
Which that was dumb too, because I thought about that for a while.
Yeah.
So I'm pouring like ammonia in this container.
Right. So it's kind of like just get them out of it.
Yeah.
Just get them into clean water. So
I mean, even what I'll do now when I get a wholesale order, I cut the bag, and I'll just try to get the fish out, or if anything, like pour a bunch of water out and then, put as less of that water in as possible.
that's
There's
why
the thing we always used to say when we worked at a store. If we used to say, don't put our water in your tank too, because, we weren't sure of diseases, parasites and all that.
that's why I do the decanting thing with the cups.
Yeah.
Pour it all the way out, put them into a new, and then I've washed the fish or the coral off several times.
Would you
before it
ever
goes
be
in.
brave enough to start right off with that bucket change for like a week thing if a fish you just got? I mean, what is that called? Tank transfer method?
I've done that before. It's great. It's the easiest thing in the world. It makes so much sense. Tank transfer method is basically the idea that you keep a fish in an environment with very little in it, and every 2 or 3 days you take the fish and put it in a new environment and sterilize the old environment.
Like 5-gallon buckets.
5-gallon
10-gallon
bucket,
aquarium,
right?
something.
Right. And the how that works is any parasites that are on the fish are in the water or on the substrates or on the hidey holes you have in that bucket. And so you take the fish out of there, put it in a clean system, get rid of all of that stuff, and you do that through several cycles, 6 or 12, depending on who you are and what you're reading and what you believe and what you want to get done. And then you should have outpaced any parasite that it was on the fish.
They would have jumped off to try to procreate, and you would have caught them with their pants down.
Exactly. And killed them.
Because parasites wear pants.
Kill the parasites. I did that with Dr. Seuss fish in 5-gallon buckets, and it was hairy until it was done. I was like, oh, that wasn't really that hairy. The other way you could do it is if I would do it now. It's basically what I'm doing in that tank up there is peristaltic pump runs water into that tank, and that tank goes to drain. So if you had a 5-gallon tank, you could, and with an overflow that went to drain, you could just keep dripping new tank water into it and it would flush it all out.
Huh.
But tank transfer is really about removing the fish from the parasites that are not just in the water, but on the tank itself and on the substrate and on whatever's in there. So that's the point of that. It works really, really well. I always like to do smaller orders of fish so you could do that more easily than get 1,000. You get 1,000 blue chromas in. it doesn't really make sense to do tank transfer method. It's too much stress on the fish to move 1,000 fish every 2 days. But if you're getting a few fish in,
when you don't even need a filter, you don't use a filter in that scenario.
No,
right? But you do need water motion aeration.
I use air bubbling in it, right?
Put a heater in it?
What?
Put a heater in it?
And a heater.
Okay.
And that's it. But you got to make sure if the air stops, you're going to lose stuff because there's no really big reservoir of oxygen. Yeah. So, and that's it. The heater, somewhere to hide, and water motion, and then whoosh. And then that goes over there, and it gets either you can bleach it or let it be dry for 24 to 48 hours. It should kill anything that's in there, any parasite.
Yeah, maybe if I had something super expensive, that's definitely something I would do.
Yeah. And you could do it in tanks. You know, you could do it in a set of cubes. Yeah, I think transfer method makes a lot of sense, as does filtering out parasites, but you need to oversize that. So there. Anything else about acclimation? I came across a few threads about it, people discussing it and still talking about, oh, the longer the better. You should do, drip acclimate for 2 hours. It's like, what are you doing?
That's old school info, really.
People make this hobby harder than it is. They make the easy part hard and the hard part easy.
Yeah. When they try to reinvent the wheels sometimes too.
Because of rumors. What is my beef? Oh, reefers who argue against climate change.
Yeah, that would be silly. Do you run into those a lot on forums?
I do. I think there's a good number of them that argue against man-made, human-made climate change.
Okay, I was about to ask you for that distinction because I'm sort of thinking if you're out there and you're like, there's no climate change, you're brain dead. Now, then there could be the separate subject of like man-made or not.
Okay, let's do the brain dead part first.
I wouldn't even want to have that discussion.
Yeah, the argument tends to go, well, the temperature has changed on the planet before. That's natural. Or
I would just say, okay, bye.
And here's what brought up this beef was a discussion of, well, the pH used to be lower millions of years ago.
Before corals existed.
And it was like, well, we don't have those same corals anymore.
Yeah. When trilobites ruled the world.
And as a reef keeper, boy, you should know how bad it is for your aquarium to go from an 8.2 to a 7.6.
Oh, yeah.
That's bad.
And don't forget it's logarithmic. So, a change from 8.2 to 8.1 is what, 10 times?
Yeah, we're not talking going from 8.2 to 8.1. We're talking from going 8.2 into the 7s or 6s.
That's just death.
As ocean acidification gets really rolling. So I get very, very confused at reef keepers who will spend thousands and thousands of dollars on CO2 absorbent media for their cows, for their what is that thing called, a skimmer, to bring their pH up 0.1, or all this discussion with Chris, about bringing the pH up to 8.4 by using, dinosaur bones mixed with cocaine or whatever it is, sodium hydroxide. They'll go through all that effort. People will go through all that effort and understand how that works. But when we talk about the oceans getting lower in pH, they go, no, that's not going to be a problem.
Like it's there in your house.
You see it all we talk about is stability, right? You spend $50 a pop or whatever it is for an ICP test that you're not really sure what the resolution is or how accurate it is or what the LOD is. So, but you spend it and then you make changes based on those results, which are tiny.
But this is when you go on forums and you bump into people that are but even deserve the conversation.
Well, I don't talk to them. I just
see them and you're like, dear.
I try to read a lot because I am now been on the planet long enough where I know I could be I could be enamored of my own bullshit.
Yeah.
And so I want to be exposed to the other ideas. But I think, when I got all depressed and all that shit, I think I lost a lot of my confidence. I think I'm coming around. I think my confidence is coming back some, because I'm reading this stuff. I'm going, I don't care. Don't need to respond. This is stupid. That's dumb. We'll talk about that on Reef Beef. There's no reason for me to engage with these people.
Instead of getting like bent over the wheel on everything.
Yeah, well, somebody who's telling me that the pH, I don't even know how to talk to somebody who is arguing that, climate change is about the pH becoming, 8.1. It's like you so are just not even paying attention to what is going on with climate change and ocean acidification. And part of me thinks like, we can get through to some of these people. And, I don't think it's my job anymore to try to convince these people. I think they mostly they're having a political argument that they want to say, it's bad. It's not as bad as people are making it. It is. It's really bad. It's getting awful.
Once we are fully in it, there ain't nothing you can do about it. So
somebody on one of my neighborhood groups, we're having a red tide event here in the Bay right now. And it hasn't been so bad around Alameda, but it's been going on for a month and a half. And we haven't had one since the 80s, right? And people are like, well, we should do something about it. And my response was, oh, it's too late.
We're just talking about it. We're just talking about what's happening.
We've known what to do about it for decades, and we kind of didn't do it. So here we are.
Yeah.
We could still stop the next bloom, but they were like, we should filter the water. It's like you can't filter the ocean like that. It doesn't. But I was nicer to them because they're not reefers. So why would they know anything?
That's true.
But reefers, I feel like I want to say,
like it's already in your lingo.
You totally understand pH issues in saltwater for reef animals, but somehow you want to not transfer that information to the planet.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. You understand temperature. You totally understand temperature. And we're
what
talking,
happens when your reef tank gets too hot?
Yeah. Oh my God, it went to 83 and stuff died. Yeah.
And then my pH went low and everything died.
Yeah.
Like, yep.
But at least people, I think, are starting to go, oh, wait. Because, the heat wave that just happened, over most of the U.S. and in Europe. And,
here too. Even it feels weird to talk about in Texas how it got so damn hot, because it does happen. But I think here in Houston, we recorded the hottest July. Our July here in Houston was as hot as it's ever been. That's ever been recorded by Houston.
That's not good.
I mean, it's funny though, because when you live here, it's like, it was another hot July. I mean, it's still hot as all get out, but we were in the hundreds like consecutively. It's
really hot. And Europe's down, in the droughts everywhere. And that's all climate change driven. And well, no, we've had dry spells report. Yeah, but no, this is not following any of the patterns. And, what happened to the mini ice age we were in the 70s?
Yeah.
The heating up the atmosphere is what happened to the, what we need is a good volcano.
Yeah.
To put a lot of dust in the air.
Iceland.
Come on, Iceland, blow up. We need
all the Viking remnants.
We need Yellowstone to blow up.
Oh my God. No, not a super volcano. You've been watching too much late night History Channel.
We need New Zealand to explode completely. You know what's weird? We went to the White Island, which is a volcano in
racist
in New Zealand. That's because of the bird shit on the island. I hope someone from New Zealand goes, Rich, you just made that up, you asshole. And it's totally racist. They used to mine sulfur there. You know how they mined it? They would go out and scrape it up because it's geothermic vent. It's a volcano. But we sent some other people to go check out that volcano because it's super cool. And then 2 days later, it exploded and killed a bunch of people.
Whoa.
Yeah. Spooky. You could die.
Probably don't go sniffing around volcanoes.
No, you should totally. Volcanoes are awesome. Well, you might die anyway. You might die in the street by...
We're born dying.
You know, a monkey might come out and kill you.
Like a bonobo?
Yeah!
I suppose it's possible depending where you're at.
That's right.
Death
Stay
by
out-
bonobo.
Stay
Wait,
out of...
bonobos are the ones that prefer to settle their... This is true. Bonobos prefer to settle their arguments with sex. So you could get... Can we say that? You could get raped by a bonobo? Snowman, you make the call. Can we get raped by bonobos, or is that trigger warning?
Oh, God. Steve Harder, who works at Georgia Aquarium, great guy. He had to do some stuff with monkeys. Maybe we should get him on and he should tell the story himself. It's the fucking best story ever. Nothing to do with reef keeping, but great story. What's the moral, Ben? The moral is, in reef keeping, you got to learn all kind of science, and you understand it, and you get it, and you understand stability. You understand climate change and why it's bad. So if the question is it happening? The answer is yes. If the question is it man-made or not? Who cares? It's happening, right? Let's fix it. And you understand it. Just get out of your own way. Basically, you've learned so much science in reef tanks.
Apply it. Well, you apply it to your microcosm, so just apply that to the mesocosm.
Yeah, baby. And be nice to ladies.
Don't be dicks.
Be as colorblind as you can. And who gives a shit if people are trans or not? Give them whatever rights everybody else has.
Give them all the money in your wallet.
So there.
No, just rights. Don't worry about your money.
Rights. Well, that was a rambly end to a great discussion about reef tanks. I really enjoyed talking about pH with you, Ben, and acclimation. And we talked about acclimation pH. We understand that. You understand it with the planet. I liked our question from Pedro from Belgium, even though somebody named Pedro being in Belgium makes me so happy.
I'm thinking he's a Spaniard.
I hope so. And
But
that's
he could
it.
be from Mexico.
And I want to thank all the beefers for beefing, all the support you've given us. I'd like to thank saltwateraquarium.com for being saltwateraquarium.com and sponsored us. And I'd like to thank the people at MACNA for putting on the best MACNA we have ever been to.
Yeah.
Smash like, let us know what you think in the comments. Thank you for the support, and we'll talk with you soon. You know what I forgot to say at the top?
What did you forget?
I'm gonna say it right now. Snowman can edit it or not.
So let's all get rid of our iPhones and walk to school and live in grass huts and eat termites. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, no, but I think people like you with 16 children are a big part of the problem.
Just 3, bro.
Yeah,
they're gonna be 3. They're gonna save the planet because of the way I raise them.
I've met your kids.
They ain't saving the planet.
Yeah, so that means I've got 1 kid, so I should be able to
you get a cookie.
I should be able to pour 3 times as much gasoline out onto the ground.
Dude, I recycle like a son of a bitch. So
Okay,
I
well,
think that offsets all the air my children breathe.
No, recycling doesn't really. It's not. It can't be you. It's got to be industry.
Yeah, that's true. That's another
Stupidest
bitch.
discussion ever.
It is.
Maybe he'll put it in. Maybe he won't.
There you go.
Fuck him. Fuck
that's
it all.
We do. We're professionals.
Whatever. Are we?
Do we get money for this? I mean,
I guess that's.
It's
true.
there.
We're gonna ask for more money.
It's in the
and my daughter was here, and my daughter likes oh no, this is not something I want to talk about.
Oh my god!
But it's got to do with Smash.
Smash.
Smash! Oh, the new Lady Hulk is on tonight. She-Hulk.
Oh, the new one. The first one was okay.
I really loved her explaining how she's always angry and women are always angry and
Yeah.
fuck you, you idiot. That's why this is easy for me. I thought that was awesome.
That part was good.
Awesome. Because the bad ideas that keep going.
We have ways of making you talk.
I suppose that is the whole reason behind the Reef Beef is to bring
Shatter the myths. Are we
the-
Mythbusters of the aquarium world?
the Reef Busters. I always wanted a Reef Busters group, but no one's going to fund that.
Yeah.
You ready for my beef?
That could be interpreted many different ways.
My beef snake?
That's a Reef Beef shirt right there. You ready for my beef?
You ready for my beef? Man, it's the only thing that I don't like about the name and that it's two guys with this show. It's a little misogyny sounding, and we don't mean it that way, but there's no way it can come across as that except that we defend against misogyny.
Yeah.
All the, when we see it. So I guess, yeah, never mind. Maybe we should do just the tip Thursdays. We should do a 5-minute, a 5-minute piece for Thursdays where we just talk about one thing and this is how you do it with like no extra
That's
bullshit.
pretty misogynistic. Just the tip.
Yeah, it's super misogynistic, but we're called Reef Beef. So
40-year-old banker dudes that make $120,000 a year is going to be our only audience. Why 40-year-old white dudes? What was that Snowman was telling us beforehand? That's the average like
hobbyist
reef aquarist is a 40-year-old white man that's in banking or IT and makes $120,000 a year.
Is that not our demographic?
I mean, that's okay. I wish that wasn't our whole demographic because I like vive la différence. I'm probably not our demographic. There's probably a couple wasps out there.
No idea what our demographic is. I bet you there's some information. Snowman, please let us know our demographics.
I'm sort of hoping our demographics is like, minorities with red mohawks.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going for.
I agree. Do you want to do a beef or do you want to just talk about
I'm sorry. Do your beef.
Who you wish was watching you now.
Okay, now I am ready to accept your beef.
Some more ASMR. Do you have a red mohawk? Oh,
yeah.
My name's Ben.
Tune in. Yeah.
Tune in. Hello, everybody. My name is Rich.
And my name is Benjamin.
And this is the Reef Beef Podcast. And today we're going to talk about our post-MACNA joy. And we're going to talk about a beef and a question from a beefer. And we're going to talk about climate change. Everyone's exciting. The people love that. And more. So welcome to the show.
But no, look, beefers, like just skip one day of eating at Taco Bell and become a bronze level beefer. That's all it takes.
That's all it takes.
And then you get to ask Rich what his favorite secondary color is.
Oh, that's a good question. We'll have to wait till next time. Anyway, we've talked way past the cool outro I did. So